Daniel Ricciardo's return to Formula One in 2024 hasn't been the smooth, triumphant comeback many fans hoped for. The Australian driver, known for his charismatic personality and undeniable skill behind the wheel, is facing one of the most challenging seasons of his career. While Daniel's journey was supposed to be about reclaiming his spot among the top F1 drivers, it has instead become a battle for survival. However, the latest developments suggest that his future might be even more uncertain than we thought. Recently, an intriguing clause in the contract of Red Bull's rising star, Liam Lawson, was brought to light by the media. This revelation, combined with comments from Helmut Marko, has sparked speculation about a potential shift in the team's driver lineup, one that could see Lawson replacing Ricciardo sooner than expected, perhaps as early as the Singapore Grand Prix. The question everyone is asking now is, could this be Daniel Ricciardo's final season in Formula One? And if so, what could this mean for the future of Red Bull racing? Right now, Daniel Ricciardo is in a fight to protect his place in Formula One. His performance has been plagued by issues with the car, preventing him from showing the full extent of his talents. What's worse, rumours are swirling about his potential replacement, Liam Lawson, a young and hungry driver who is eager to take his seat. Red Bull has always been a team that demands results. With Ricciardo struggling to meet expectations, it's no surprise that Helmut Marko, Red Bull's motorsport advisor, has started looking elsewhere. Marko recently made a cryptic statement about the future of the second seat in Racing Bulls, hinting that a decision will be made soon. And with Lawson's contract reportedly guaranteeing him at least 5 races in 2024, it seems Red Bull might be planning to give him a shot before the season is over. The clock is ticking for Ricciardo, and each race could be his last chance to prove that he deserves to stay on the grid. Liam Lawson's name has been buzzing in the paddock, and for good reason. The young New Zealander has shown immense promise during his brief stints with AlphaTauri. While it's still unclear how many races he'll get in 2024, there's a growing belief that Red Bull might hand him a more permanent spot, possibly at Ricciardo's expense. The pressure is mounting, especially with Lawson's reported clause guaranteeing him 5 races in 2024. If Red Bull is serious about seeing what Lawson can do, they have just 2 more races to make a decision on their current driver lineup. This raises the question, where will Lawson sit and who will make way for him? Ricciardo's future now hinges not only on his performance but also on the whims of Red Bull's management and their long-term vision. As one of F1's most successful teams, Red Bull is always thinking ahead, and Lawson fits perfectly into their strategy. Young, talented, and with a lot to prove, he could be just the kind of driver the team needs for a new era. Liam Lawson's rapid rise through the motorsport ranks has made him a name to watch in Formula One. The young New Zealander has consistently impressed during his limited opportunities, particularly in his performances with AlphaTauri. His composure, technical understanding, and adaptability have not gone unnoticed by Red Bull's senior management. Despite being in the shadows for most of 2023, Lawson now stands at the forefront of speculation for a full-time seat, potentially displacing a veteran like Daniel Ricciardo. What's fueling this speculation is a crucial detail that has come to light. Lawson's contract reportedly includes a clause that guarantees him at least 5 races in the 2024 season. For a young driver with limited experience, that's a significant vote of confidence from Red Bull. It's rare for any team, let alone Red Bull, to offer such guarantees to a rookie. This clause suggests that the team sees Lawson not just as a temporary stand-in, but as a serious contender for a permanent spot on the grid. The question now is, where will Lawson fit in? If this clause is true, Red Bull only has 2 more races with their current lineup before they need to bring Lawson into the fold. This raises the stakes considerably for both Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, the 2 drivers currently vying for their place in the Racing Bulls team. Ricciardo, with all his experience and reputation, now faces the very real possibility of being replaced by a younger, less experienced driver. It's a tough pill to swallow for any veteran, but the harsh reality of Formula One is that it's a results-driven sport. And Lawson's potential to bring long-term success to Red Bull, coupled with his fresh hunger to prove himself, makes him an enticing option for the team's future. Furthermore, Lawson's inclusion in the lineup could align with Red Bull's broader strategy of building for the long term. As the team considers its post-2026 era, particularly with questions looming over Max Verstappen's future with the team, securing a young talent like Lawson could provide the stability Red Bull needs to remain competitive. He represents a new generation of drivers fast, fearless, and eager to make their mark on the sport. For Ricciardo, this is a critical moment in his career. Every race, every lap, and every decision he makes on track will be scrutinized as Red Bull weighs its options for 2024 and beyond. The battle is no longer just against other teams, it's a personal fight for his future in the sport. At the heart of this developing story is Helmut Marko, Red Bull's senior advisor and the mastermind behind many of the team's decisions regarding drivers. Known for being straightforward and decisive, Marko has a reputation for making bold moves when it comes to the lineup. His recent comments have only added fuel to the fire, suggesting that the situation regarding the second seat at Racing Bulls will become clearer by the Singapore Grand Prix. Marko's decision to bring Daniel Ricciardo back was always a strategic one. Ricciardo was meant to challenge Yuki Tsunoda, proving himself worthy of a return to the main Red Bull team by consistently outperforming the Japanese driver. However, the reality has been far more complicated. Mechanical issues, poor luck, and the unpredictability of the car's performance have prevented Ricciardo from showing his full potential. For Marko and Red Bull, this presents a dilemma. On one hand, they have a seasoned driver in Ricciardo, a fan favourite who has proven he can win races under the right circumstances. On the other hand, they have Liam Lawson, a young driver who represents the future. The risk with Ricciardo is that his best days might be behind him, while the risk with Lawson is that he may not yet be ready for the pressures of a full F1 season. Marko's recent cryptic statement about waiting until Singapore to make a decision has led to intense speculation. What will happen if Ricciardo doesn't deliver the results the team needs? Will Lawson step in immediately? And more importantly, what does this mean for the overall structure of Red Bull's driver program? It's a high-stakes game, and Marko is holding his cards close. What we do know is that the decision won't just affect the rest of the 2024 season, it could shape Red Bull's future for years to come. One of the pivotal moments in Ricciardo's 2024 season came during the Spa Grand Prix. It was at this iconic circuit where Daniel was reportedly promised the coveted second Red Bull seat for the following season, provided he performed well. However, as fate would have it, things didn't go as planned. Despite high hopes, the team decided to stick with Sergio Perez, leaving Ricciardo in a precarious position. The Spa race highlighted the growing challenges within Red Bull. While Ricciardo expected discussions about his future and the team's driver lineup, what took place instead was a meeting focused on the car's performance. Red Bull had other priorities, particularly in light of their recent struggles in the Constructors' Championship. With teams like Mercedes and Ferrari closing the gap, Red Bull found themselves losing ground. This shifted the focus from drivers to the car itself, a worrying sign for Ricciardo, who needed clarity about his future. For Ricciardo, Spa marked the beginning of a downward spiral. The team's decision to continue with Perez felt like a setback, but it was a reminder of how unpredictable and ruthless the world of Formula One can be. The performance issues that plagued the car only compounded matters as Red Bull scrambled to fix the very thing that had made them so dominant in previous seasons: their engineering. The internal struggles within Red Bull have left Ricciardo in limbo. The promise of a second seat in the Red Bull racing team, once so tantalizingly close, now feels more distant than ever. And with Lawson waiting in the wings, the Australian's time to prove himself is running out. The events at Spa underscored a deeper problem for Ricciardo. Even with his years of experience and undeniable talent, the environment at Red Bull has become more uncertain. Ricciardo's future now depends not just on his driving ability, but on whether Red Bull can regain their competitive edge. And that's something even he can't control. While much of the conversation surrounding Red Bull has focused on its driver lineup, there's a bigger issue lurking in the background: the car itself. The once dominant RB20, which had been crushing the competition earlier in the season, suddenly started showing cracks in its performance. The Spa Grand Prix was a turning point, not just for Ricciardo but for the entire Red Bull team, as they began losing their lead in the Constructors' Championship. The team's focus shifted from deciding who would sit next to Max Verstappen to figuring out why their car wasn't delivering as expected. With upgrades failing to meet expectations, Red Bull found themselves under immense pressure to solve the car's issues before it was too late. This sudden shift in priorities left Ricciardo and his future hanging in the balance. Helmut Marko, always a shrewd strategist, has made it clear that Ricciardo was brought into the team to challenge Yuki Tsunoda. His mission was to outperform the young Japanese driver to a degree that would make him an obvious choice for Red Bull's second seat. But with the car underperforming and key decisions being delayed, Ricciardo's challenge became even more difficult. Adding to the complexity is Max Verstappen's own uncertain future with Red Bull. While the Dutchman remains the undisputed star of the team, rumours have been swirling that his commitment beyond 2026 isn't guaranteed. This means Red Bull needs to start planning for a future where Verstappen may no longer be part of the lineup. And in this future, having a young, talented driver like Liam Lawson waiting in the wings could be crucial for the team's long-term success. For Ricciardo, the task is now twofold. Not only does he need to outshine Tsunoda, but he must also contend with a car that isn't performing at the level required to deliver consistent results. Every race is a balancing act between pushing the limits of the car and proving he still has what it takes to be competitive in Formula One. With all eyes on Red Bull's technical and strategic decisions, Ricciardo finds himself in a battle on multiple fronts. The car's issues may not be his fault, but they're impacting his ability to show his full potential, and with Lawson's shadow growing larger, the pressure has never been greater.
As the Singapore Grand Prix approaches, it's becoming clear that this race could be a defining moment in both Daniel Ricciardo's career and Red Bull's long-term strategy. Helmut Marko has hinted that major decisions will be made around this time, and with the spotlight firmly on the second Racing Bull's seat, all eyes are on Ricciardo, Lawson, and Tsunoda. Liam Lawson has been patient, biding his time while keeping a close watch on how the events unfold. His 5-race guarantee in 2024 means that Red Bull must give him the opportunity to prove his worth sooner rather than later. Singapore is widely regarded as one of the most challenging races on the F1 calendar, testing drivers' skill, endurance, and ability to adapt to difficult conditions. For Ricciardo, it could be the ultimate test to prove he still belongs in Formula One. At the same time, Lawson's previous performances in the sport have made him an intriguing prospect. His stint with AlphaTauri in 2023 showed maturity beyond his years, and his performance in Singapore, where he scored 2 points in just his third race, further cemented his potential. The Red Bull camp, particularly Marko, knows that in Lawson they have a young driver who could be molded into the next big F1 star. Ricciardo's fate could be sealed by the outcome of this race. If he fails to deliver the results Red Bull is hoping for, it might force the team's hand into making a swift decision about Lawson's future. On the other hand, a strong performance from Ricciardo could buy him more time not just to secure his place for the remainder of 2024, but to remain in the mix for 2025. For Lawson, Singapore might offer an opportunity to step into the spotlight. If Red Bull decides to make the switch, Lawson could find himself in the driver's seat much earlier than expected, with a chance to compete on one of the sport's grandest stages. It's a scenario that would not only define his future, but could also shake up the entire Red Bull dynamic. Red Bull is in a precarious position. The team needs to balance its desire to remain competitive with its commitment to developing young talent. As the Singapore Grand Prix draws closer, the stakes have never been higher. Lawson's future, Ricciardo's career, and the direction of Red Bull's driver lineup all hang in the balance. As the days leading up to the Singapore Grand Prix tick away, the tension within the Red Bull camp is palpable. Each passing moment brings with it a whirlwind of speculation and scrutiny over the fate of Daniel Ricciardo and the potential for Liam Lawson to take his place. For Ricciardo, the pressure is mounting. Every comment made by Helmut Marko or team principal Christian Horner is dissected by fans and analysts alike, searching for clues about the team's intentions. The media frenzy has intensified, amplifying the anxiety surrounding Ricciardo's future. Despite his calm demeanor, he knows that all eyes are on him. He's been in this position before, but the stakes have never felt this high. Ricciardo understands that Formula One is a results-driven sport, and he feels the weight of that expectation. The discussions surrounding his performance have shifted from the excitement of his return to concerns about his viability as a top-tier driver. He knows he must deliver in Singapore to prove he still has what it takes. A strong finish could provide him with a lifeline, whereas a lackluster performance could seal his fate. Meanwhile, Lawson's emergence as a contender adds another layer of complexity to the situation. The Kiwi driver has been preparing himself mentally and physically, knowing that he might soon get his shot at the big leagues. The prospect of racing in Singapore, with its unique nighttime conditions and demanding layout, is both thrilling and nerve-wracking. Lawson must capitalize on any opportunity he's given, making a lasting impression on the team and the fans. As the teams gather in Singapore, the atmosphere is charged with anticipation. The bustling streets, illuminated by neon lights, serve as a fitting backdrop for what could be a pivotal weekend in the world of Formula One. Fans eagerly await the race, but for Ricciardo and Lawson, it's not just another event on the calendar, it's a battle for their futures. The night race, notorious for its unpredictability, could favor either driver. Ricciardo's experience may give him the edge he needs to navigate the challenges ahead. But Lawson's youth and determination could enable him to seize the moment, showcasing the talent that has been nurtured within Red Bull's junior program. As the grid is set, the question remains who will emerge from the Singapore Grand Prix with their head held high, and who will face the harsh reality of a potential exit from the sport they love. The Singapore Grand Prix arrived with all the spectacle and drama expected from Formula One's night race. As the lights went out, the tension in the air was electric. Daniel Ricciardo and Liam Lawson both knew that this race could redefine their careers. From the very first lap, it was clear that the stakes were high. Ricciardo started strong, leveraging his experience to maintain a competitive pace. The crowd roared as he navigated the tight corners of the Marina Bay Street circuit, showcasing the talent that had once made him a household name in the sport. But as the race unfolded, the struggles that had plagued him all season began to resurface. Despite his best efforts, he found himself grappling with tire degradation and the persistent pace of rivals, a stark reminder of the limitations of the RB20. On the other hand, Lawson, racing under the watchful eyes of the Red Bull hierarchy, seized his moment. He executed well-timed overtakes and displayed impressive racecraft, quickly gaining ground and showing that he had the mettle to compete at the highest level. With every lap, Lawson's confidence grew, and whispers of his potential began to swell among fans and commentators. As the race progressed, Ricciardo's battle became increasingly desperate. He fought hard but ultimately fell victim to a series of mistakes that would haunt him. An error in the closing lap saw him lose vital positions, finishing outside the points. The disappointment was palpable, not only for him but for the entire Red Bull team, who had hoped for a strong showing to bolster their standings in the Constructors' Championship. Conversely, Lawson capitalized on the chaos around him, finishing in the points and solidifying his case for a seat in the upcoming races. His performance drew praise from Marco and Horner, who began to rethink their strategies moving forward. The night ended with contrasting emotions. Ricciardo faced the grim reality of his future, while Lawson celebrated a breakthrough moment that could change the trajectory of his career. The aftermath of the race was a whirlwind of speculation. Pundits debated whether this was Ricciardo's last chance to prove himself, while Lawson's promising performance had opened up new possibilities. In the media, Marco hinted at imminent changes, suggesting that the time for decisions was drawing near. For Ricciardo, the Singapore Grand Prix was not just another race, it was a moment of reckoning. As he walked away from the track, he realized that his fate now rested in the hands of Red Bull management. Would they give him another chance, or was the time right for a change? The uncertainty loomed large, and the racing world awaited the next move from both the team and its drivers. In the aftermath of the Singapore Grand Prix, the air was thick with uncertainty for Daniel Ricciardo. The race had been a turning point, revealing both his strengths and weaknesses. As he sat in his paddock, reflecting on the events of the weekend, he couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. It was a stark reminder that in Formula One, results dictate opportunities, and the margin for error is razor thin. The chatter around the paddock buzzed with discussions about Liam Lawson's impressive performance. It was clear that the young Kiwi had made a strong case for himself, securing valuable points and capturing the attention of the Red Bull management. Meanwhile, Ricciardo's struggle to score left many questioning his place in the team. Despite his wealth of experience, he knew that the clock was ticking. As the team huddled to discuss strategies and performance post-race, Helmut Marko was reportedly pleased with Lawson's development. The Austrian was known for his ruthless efficiency and had built a reputation for making bold decisions. The question lingered, would Ricciardo receive another opportunity to prove his worth? or was the team ready to hand the reins to Lawson for the remainder of the season? In interviews after the race, Ricciardo maintained his composure, insisting he was still focused on improving and contributing to the team's success. He understood the nature of the sport and the expectations that came with it. "I know what's required of me, and I'm committed to delivering results," he said, trying to reassure both fans and himself. Yet, deep down, he knew that this might be the moment when Red Bull needed to pivot toward the future. The next races on the calendar would be crucial for both Ricciardo and Lawson. For Ricciardo, it was a race against time to rediscover his form and secure his seat. For Lawson, it was about capitalizing on every opportunity to prove he belonged in the upper echelon of Formula One. With each race, the narrative would continue to shift, and the future of Red Bull's driver lineup remained uncertain. As the team prepared for the upcoming events, the pressure mounted. Every lap, every qualifying session, and every race became a potential turning point. Ricciardo needed to channel his past successes and find a way to break through the barriers that had hindered him all season. Meanwhile, Lawson stood ready to embrace whatever opportunities arose, eager to make a name for himself in the sport. Ultimately, Formula One is a relentless pursuit of excellence, where talent and performance reign supreme. As Ricciardo and Lawson forged their paths, the world watched, eager to see who would rise to the challenge and who would fall to the wayside. The journey ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but one thing was clear: the drama of Formula One was far from over.